Melina from Yogeek here. Just a random factoid. So I came up with the name Yogeek as it combined my love for the yogic philosophy with my geekiness and obsession with the human body, its functionality, how it works, the amazing and complex work of art that the human body is. As I said in other intros, my background is I have a master's in kinesiology, and I am a 500-hour RYT yoga instructor. And so I just want to provide tips and tricks, sneak-em-ins for really common exercises that you may be doing now, especially now when there's a ton of great workout programs, there's a ton of great trainers out there. What I want to provide for you is just, if you're having like little tweaks or your body's bits and pieces are talking to you in a weird way, that I can offer some solutions and you incorporate it into your current workout that you're doing. So we're looking at form, functionality, and how the body moves, learning how it moves in space. So with the issue of when you're doing a squat and the knees caving in, there's a couple things that play a role here. So one of them is the potential for the glute weakness, and then also the tightness in the hip flexors, and potentially weakness in your VMOs, this little teardrop muscle right here. So with that in mind, if you think about it, you have this pulling from here, and then these guys are just hanging out. It makes sense when you're coming down into a squat that something's got to give, that it's not being stabilized. So I want to talk to you about a couple tips and tricks of how to know when your glutes are activating, how to maybe calm down these hip flexors, especially this TFL, and maybe a couple things to help out with the VMOs. So, band walks are probably one of the most common things I see people doing to help build glute stabilization and to increase the strength, which is great if the glutes are actually activated. So what happens, what I see a lot with clients is we'll be doing our band walks, and then they'll get a little bit way through and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired right here, these are really talking. So what's happening are those hip flexors, that TFL is taking over, and your glutes are sitting back there in the back seat going like, cool, thanks man, thanks for the ride. And they're not activated, they're not working. So if you're doing band walks, I want you to stop when this happens and reset and figure out how to get those glutes to turn on. So a trick to do this is the seated band adduction. So adduction, you think aliens are kidnapping you and taking away your, abduction, fired. Abduction is when you're being abducted by the aliens, so you're opening, you're moving away. For the bands, generally we're told to sit upright and keep that nice long spine, neutral position, and open up. What I've noticed is a lot of times people will still kind of revert to these hip flexors taking over. So a little trick I learned in school was to actually change the position of your torso, maybe coming a little forward, maybe leaning a little back, so until you actually can make those glutes turn on, when you feel that connection. So, as you're sitting here, if you're just sitting here and you're just hanging out, it's not activating your glutes. This is where the mind-body connection comes in. So feet are planted, you figure out where your body needs to be to turn these guys on, and then work on strengthening that way. And I'll tell you, every person I've worked with, and myself included, is like, oh, band work, no. But it works. Another thing that you can do to help with the glutes are the tried and true clamshells. So that's when you're on your side. Move this out of the way. When you're on your side, hanging out, this is a great sneak-em-in exercise. So you're hanging out, watching a movie, you can just plop down, do 20 on one side, 20 on the other, whatever. Commercial break. But what happens a lot of times is people do really big movements and start opening up and getting a little crazy. So clamshells, you want to again make that mind-body connection, focusing on these glute muscles, especially the outer hip ones. So when you're lifting it, it's slow and controlled, and you're feeling these working. And you build the stabilization that way. So those are two little tips and tricks to help, one with the seated band abductions, learning how to activate the glutes, clamshells, kind of building up that strength, and then you can progress to putting bands around it. The other issue is potential weakness in the VMOs. Now with this, a fun way to build those, instead of doing like just purely weighted squats, is go for a bike ride. Bike rides are great. Great way to build these. But a little trick, if you have a bench or something to stand on, I'll show you that first, and then you can do this on the floor too, but you're gonna come up onto a step. My heel is going out, so I'm kind of using this as a little balance. Feet are gonna be about hip point distance apart. And then you're gonna send the hips back, just making sure you're not collapsing into that hip. Finding when you feel this guy, hang out with it, and then you're gonna slowly push all the way up, getting a little squeeze in the booty. You're not pushing the pelvis forward, you're just getting that nice long and strong length of the body and squeeze in the tush, and you're gonna come back down. Watching this, guys, so when I work with people, this happens a lot, which indicates that there's that glute and VMO weakness. And then you press up. So you can do those. You can also do these on the floor. You're just, again, just gonna weight shift over onto one leg, send the hips back. And when I mean hips back, I mean hips back like you're sitting in a chair. Not this. Pop that booty up. Draw the core up and in. And then you press up. And a little trick, which I really encourage people to do, is if you're doing your squats and this is still happening, or if you don't know what's happening, is either have somebody watch you, do a quick recording of when you're doing your squats to see if it's happening. But if you're experiencing knee pain when doing squats, you might want to check it out and see if it's the form. So, a couple things for glute activation and strengthening. A couple things addressing the VMO. The other thing is these are so tight that they're hijacking the glutes. So there's a few different ways to release the hip flexors. One of them, again, is just coming down and moving forward, allowing the hip flexor to open. So a nice little stretch here. Just again, making sure you're not collapsing into the spine. So you're moving, shifting everything forward till you feel that stretch. And you'll hang out with it for a bit. Nice deep breath. A more advanced one is when you start to either use a strap or a wall, and you can start moving into this, getting into the quad a little bit more. Another nice round of stretches to release the hip flexors is you're in this position, you're moving, kind of shifting the body forward so you feel this stretch in the hip flexors. And then you're going to lift both arms up, bring it down, one arm up and over, bring down, and then a rotation. Back. So you come up, down, over, boop, side. And you do that for a few rounds. This is a great way to kind of stretch these out, and you can sneak them in throughout the day. The final thing about tight hip flexors, what I have found to be the most beneficial, is foam rolling and fascial release. I'll do a whole other video on that. But letting these guys, I don't like to use the word relax necessarily, but where you kind of stop them taking over. It's like inhibiting them a little bit, but not in a bad way. So you're just letting these guys kind of chill out, especially if you're doing like band walks, clamshells. Do the foam rolling first, do the stretching first, and then go into those clamshells, the different sorts of glute activation exercises. So those are just a couple things. There's a million things you can do to help find the strength of the glutes and loosening in the hip flexors to improve the squats so this isn't happening. So there you go. Tips and tricks, sneak 'em ins. This is my first video, so ready for me. It'll get better. All right, much love you all. Of course, let me know what things you want to see. Next week I'm going to address this issue a little bit more and then show some of the foam rolling stuff and the fascial release that you can do to chill these guys out, let the glutes activate, and get those VMOs working. So with that, I'm going to sign off and have a fabulous day. Much love.